Good evening, everybody. We'd like to call this meeting to order.
Adequate notice of this meeting was provided and published in the Asbury Park Press and the Ocean Star on January 12, 2024. Copies of the agenda were provided to the newspaper, posted on public bulletin boards and the Township website.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilman Albanese.
Here.
Councilwoman Pontorero.
Here.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Here.
Councilman Feynman.
Here.
Councilwoman Travers.
Here.
Vice President Ambrosino.
Here.
President Minikino.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can I have everybody rise to salute the flag in a moment of silence, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Can I get a motion in a second to approve the minutes from the March 25th meeting?
Motion. Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Albanese.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontorero.
Same.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilman Feynman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Travers.
Yes.
Vice President Ambrosino.
Yes.
President Minikino.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to invite the mayor up, please.
I think they put them on that side.
Hello, everyone. Ooh, the crowd tonight. Can I please have the Brick Memorial Girls Bowling Team, along with their coach, come on up or down, whichever way you want to. Have you stand behind me? How's that? Hello, welcome. Welcome and congratulations. I have a proclamation for our girls bowling team that I'd like to share with everyone right now. Brick Township has some of the most storied and successful interscholastic high school sports programs in the state of New Jersey. The Brick Memorial High School girls bowling team stands as perhaps the most consistently successful and dominant in our community's history. This past season, the Mustangs girls bowling team was once again a force to be reckoned with, compiling a record 23-0, winning the Shore Conference A-South Championship and winning the NJSIAA Central Jersey Group 3 Championship with a victory over Woodbridge High School. Their season was capped off with a resounding 2-0 victory over the Lacey Lions in the NJSIAA Group 3 Championship, marking the 4th consecutive title and 9th overall for the Mustangs. The members of the NJSIAA Group 3 champion Mustangs bowling team are Brooke Collins, Cameron DeMarco, Kira Fanholz, Megan Guidon, AJ Jankowski, Kendra Maycomer, Faith Perrin, Olivia Salvatore, Caitlin Weitzel Sanchez, and Patricia Williams. The Mustangs were most ably led by head coach Tori Boughton, a proud alumnus of Brick Memorial High School, where she excelled on the lanes and was twice named Bowler of the Year by the Asbury Park Press and was named to their all-decade team. Therefore, I, Lisa Crate, Mayor of the Township of Brick in the County of Ocean in the state of New Jersey, in recognition of their remarkable season and their capturing of the NJSIAA Group 3 Championship, do hereby proclaim Wednesday, April 10th, 2024, to be Brick Memorial High School Girls Bowling Team Day in the Township of Brick, and I call upon all residents to join me in congratulating head coach Tori Boughton and the members of the Mustangs girls bowling team on their accomplishments and thank them for representing our community in such an exemplary manner. Let's give them a round of applause.
Yeah, but what we might have to do is kind of shoulder tilt so we can all fit, so there you go. And we'll put Mayor in the middle. Yep. Over the coach. Now you guys are gonna show pretty. There we go.
Mom and Dad can get up and take pictures too.
Congratulations. You can come up. You don't have to, like, you can actually go over that if you want. It's okay.
I'll show you how to do it.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm at the bowling alley. How to do it. Well, they could go this way.
Yeah, you can fit on it.
No, this is four.
Yeah.
I don't normally bring a camera. My phone is the thing. Not powerful. Yes, it's more than take pictures.
Oh, very good.
It said case said that you made it.
Okay.
But you made it. He says in case you make it or not. I said, I just want to see what fits right now.
One more round.
That was good. I like that one. That was very good. Yeah.
Read. Everybody's going out to celebrate now, right? That's right. All right, so we also have some other guests in the room today. Can I please call up anyone that's here from Dispatch, our telecommunicators? Yeah. Come on up. Oh, I like your jackets or sweatshirts, I guess. Those are cool. Yeah. All right. You guys ready? It's your week. All right. Emergencies that require police, fire, or emergency medical services can occur at any given moment. When an emergency occurs that prompts the prompt response of police officers, firefighters, and paramedics is critical for the protection of life and preservation of property. The safety of our emergency responders is dependent upon the quality and accuracy of information obtained from citizens who contact the Brick Township Emergency Communications Center, our dispatch, making telecommunicators the first and most critical contact. Each year, the second week in April is designated as National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week in the United States, which recognizes the commitment, service, and sacrifice telecommunicators make every single day. The citizens of Brick Township are fortunate to have a staff of 22 full-time and 3 part-time dispatchers that work 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, always ready to assist with an emergency. Our dispatchers, as well as all public safety telecommunicators, are in one of the most stressful professions while exhibiting compassion, understanding, and professionalism during their performance on their job. Therefore, I, Lisa Crate, Mayor of the Township of Brick in the County of Ocean in the state of New Jersey, do hereby recognize the week of April 14th through April 20th, 2024 to be National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week, in the Township of Brick, and call upon all residents to join me in honoring the vital work that these dedicated men and women do each and every day. Let's give them a round of applause as well. you may have thought I was finished, but I am not. There's one more tonight. We have some special guests in the audience, but we have a more special guest sitting to my left. If you'd like to come up. He's a little red. Just a little. You ready? What did we say in here? The dedicated municipal staff of the Township of Brick works year-round to serve the diverse needs of more than 75,000 residents of our community. Daniel Newman Jr. has been an invaluable member of the municipal staff since September 1994, and since that time has distinguished himself through his dedication, professionalism, integrity, and commitment to serving the citizens to the best of his ability. Since February 2002, Daniel Newman Jr. has served as the Construction Code Office for the Township and has been responsible for upholding the highest standards of construction and building codes, diligently enforcing regulations to safeguard the lives and properties of our citizens. Beyond his role as the Construction Code official, Dan has served on several advisory committees and on the Township's Property Maintenance Board. Perhaps more importantly, Dan has served as a mentor and friend to countless colleagues, always ready to share his extensive knowledge and experience and assist them in any way he can. Daniel Newman Jr. has announced his intention to retire from the Township of Brick this coming October, leaving behind a legacy of 30 years of exceptional service to the Township of Brick. Therefore, I, Lisa Crate, Mayor of the Township of Brick, in the County of Ocean in the state of New Jersey, in honor of his 3 decades of exemplary and exceptional service to the citizens of Brick Township, do hereby proclaim Friday, because Friday is the best day, April 12th, 2024, to be Daniel Newman Jr. Day in the Township of Brick, and I call upon all citizens to join me in thanking Dan for his service and wishing him the best in his well-deserved retirement, and I'm also giving you a key to the city.
Thank you.
There you go. He doesn't want to say anything?
That's actually very unusual for me. It's been a great experience. I've loved it, and it's really nice how many people showed up here because I see members of my family, members of my staff here, which is very nice. You did not have to come out for this. But I do appreciate it. I'm going to be enjoying my retirement. I'm always available for a phone call. I just always say I may not answer the phone, but thank you very much.
Okay, I believe now we have a couple presentations to do. First will be engineering by Alyssa Cummings. Thank you. Oh, you're the engineer.
You don't have to push the button,
Yeah.
everyone can hear me. First and foremost, thank you for your time this evening and allowing me to provide a brief introduction to the engineering division and address the items requested in our 2024 budget. The primary functions of the Division of Engineering are to establish and maintain our public infrastructure and assist with its integration of private property. We monitor site construction and off-site improvements outside of a physical building envelope. Engineering currently employs 6 full-time employees. We have 1 licensed professional engineer, 2 inspectors that are certified through the National Institute for Certification in Engineering Technologies. We have an engineering aide and road inspector who recently became a New Jersey certified stormwater inspector, an engineering permit and inspection clerk, and a secretary. As a group, we provide professional assistance to the township departments such as Department of Public Works, in-house construction, traffic safety and parks, as well as technical support for homeowners, business owners, realtors, and developers. We also serve as the contact for various divisions of the NJDEP, the DOT, and the Army Corps of Engineers. Additionally, we have partnered with U.S. Fish and Wildlife to complete a marsh restoration project in sections of the Forsyth Wildlife Refuge. Our office is also the designated floodplain administrator, responsible for compliance with the rules and requirements of the National Flood Insurance Program, which is a division of FEMA. Based on how well we comply with the NFIP regulations and guidelines, our citizens are provided a discount on their flood insurance premiums. Most of the day-to-day operation of the Division of Engineering involves interaction with the public, including homeowners, business owners, contractors, licensed professionals, all looking for guidance with their development. Our goals for 2024 include expanding our GIS-based stormwater inspection system, maintaining the township status with the community rating system for the discount on flood insurance premiums I previously mentioned, clearing violations from the NFIP flood insurance violations tracker, assisting residents, realtors, and developers with private property development, coordinating with Public Works for repairs and improvements to our existing infrastructure and maximizing the capital funds available to the greatest extent practical, developing a town-wide dredge material management and habitat restoration master plan, and educating the public on flood risk and preparedness. We have spent a lot of thought and effort over the last few years in developing procedures for better organization and standardization within the division. Permit input is now processed by our clerks, decreasing our review time. Our inspection reporting has been streamlined so that results are emailed to homeowners and contractors, saving time as well as postage. Closed permits are routinely sent to archive for scan for easy retrieval from all departments. Coordination with zoning and court enforcement has been organized so that policies are standardized, citizens get consistent information, and engineering violations are enforced in a consistent manner. We're using GIS-based app to complete our stormwater inspections and to reduce time and waste associated with the paper forms. All of these things may seem small, but when combined, they enable us to better assist the community with their requirements, wants, and needs while saving time and saving money. So engineering salary and wage budget for 2024 is $170,000. While our salaries are fixed, the actual costs to the township are estimated. The funds are recouped in the budget from inspections, escrow accounts, and capital accounts, and that will vary from year to year. Therefore, the actual staffing costs to the townships fluctuate annually. We strive to keep our costs as low as possible, so this year's budget request represents a decrease from last year. Overtime is something that is very difficult to estimate, as the time required to completely dependent on the volume of work running through the division, and this work is development driven. We provide inspections requested by contractors of the administration outside of the normal operating hours of the township, providing the overtime hours worked can be charged to escrow projects that can be billed to the associated costs. Our overtime budget request for 2024 is $10,000, which is consistent with our request from last year and the actual cost within the last few years. Our operating budget request is $75,200. These funds are requested to pay for general supplies, tools, and equipment we need to do our jobs, such as pens, uniforms, paint, measuring tools, levels, and what have you. Renewal fees to pay for our professional licenses and certifications, as well as the courses that provide the continuing education credits we need to maintain them. Costs associated with annual premium permits, such as NJDEP stormwater permitting for our annual municipal permit, our industrial permit for Traders Cove Marina, and a multitude of permits for our public works facility, and Tidelands license for our waterfront parks and infrastructure. The biggest item is our professional services of engineers, surveyors, architects, and environmentalists that need to be contracted with to complete tasks beyond the resources of our in-house division of engineering. Engineering's largest line item is for expert services. This is the money that division reserves to pay engineers, architects, other professionals that cannot be capitalized, such as surveying, flood mapping appeals, ADA compliance consultation, master plan updates, sound studies, and general traffic consultation. If the services are not rendered or required, these monies are not spent. This year's request represents a decrease from prior years, as we have been able to accomplish more internally as a result of the cross-training and streamlining processes I mentioned earlier. With that, I'd just like to thank the mayor and council and our business administrator and the citizens for their patience, support, and active participation in all of our projects and initiatives. Thank you.
Thank you. Any member of the public have a question? Yes.
had a little trouble hearing back there, so if my question is already answered, do it again, all right? Oh, bye, it's all good. If I read this correctly, you had 6 full-time employees last year and you got 6 this year?
Yes, sir.
And last year, your salary request was $220,000. This year, it's $170,000. And last year, your operating budget was $125,000. It's now $75,000. You went down $50,000 in both categories. How'd you do that? Blow your horn, come on. That's a lot.
It was actually $210,000 last year in salary and wage, so I think we only went down 40. And it was actually $210,000 in requests last year, so we only went down $40,000.
Okay.
We try to be as billable or as chargeable as possible. Like our division is, well, yeah, we charge escrow accounts for developers building a CVS or building a Walmart, or even if you're building a detached garage on your property, you pay a permit inspection fee. That goes into an account where our inspections are charged to.
Okay.
Now, if we didn't work here, the money would still have to be paid, but to a consultant. It wouldn't come back in our budget.
Okay. Well, it's a great job, so I appreciate all this. How close are you to retirement?
15 years.
Oh, good.
I started with the town late.
Oh, good. And the other comment, I make it every year because I don't think a lot of people realize the savings in the flood insurance because of what the township does.
We're currently a class 6, which enjoys a 20% discount, and we're really working hard to get to the 5.
And-
But Tara, and you can thank Tara for most of that, and I know she's coming up in a little bit, but she's
Okay.
been working her tail off to get there.
Well, if people don't know, I mean, everybody obviously is different, but all you have to do is look at your FEMA flood insurance thing, and it's a line item right there that says how much you're saving, so thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Anybody else from public have questions on the engineering? Seeing none, thank you. Thank you very much. Next is Daniel Newman for code, building and code enforcement.
Thank you, Mayor Craig, council members, business administrator. I'm reporting tonight on the budget request for the Division of Inspections. Division of Inspections is empowered to enforce the New Jersey adopted Uniform Construction Code, as well as local ordinances relating to property maintenance and the occupancy or reoccupancy of rental units. The division therefore has 2 budgets. One is dedicated to just the New Jersey Uniform Construction Code, and one is dedicated to enforcement of our property maintenance codes and rental inspections. The Uniform Construction Code budget, which is $195, the purpose of the construction code is to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the occupants of structures. Also, the code is designed to encourage innovation in construction, including use of modern technical methods and the elimination of obsolete construction regulations that increase the cost of construction. The number of permits issued in 2023 was 3,607, with an additional 987 permit updates. That's the highest number of permits since 2017. The total number of permits issued fluctuates based on the economy and the conditions that are outside of our control. People submit permits, we issue them. The number of inspections performed in 2023 was 18,039. The number of inspections also fluctuates based on the economic conditions. Much of the revenue from permit fees is based on the value of construction. The value of construction for 2023 was $117,227,054. The added value of improvements made to real property affects the property taxes that are then paid to the township. So a higher number is good for the taxpayers. Our revenue generated by permit fees was $2,480,018. Additional revenue comes in from things like penalties, applications for variation, certificate fees, ongoing inspection programs like annual inspections of public swimming pools, annual testing of backflow prevention devices, annual inspections for elevator devices. So that brings our grand total for revenue to $2,859,640. Our inspection staff is made up of a construction official, myself, subcode officials for each of the subcodes, inspectors, and then clerical support staff. By law, each local enforcing agency has one construction official. That individual has chief administrative responsibility for administrating and enforcing the provisions of the New Jersey Uniform Construction Code. And then each technical area of the code has one subcode official. The subcode official, under the direction of the construction official, has administrative responsibility for enforcement of their specific jurisdiction. They interpret the requirements of their subcode, perform plan reviews prior to a permit being issued, and are immediate supervisor of the inspectors within their subcode. When I say subcode, that's the construction codes is a total. A subcode is building, plumbing, fire, electric, mechanical, elevator. Those are technically subcodes. Inspectors, under the direction of the subcodes and the construction professional, like I said, perform the field inspections. The state of New Jersey has passed a new statute that requires local enforcement agencies to plan more carefully for manpower shortages. In 2024, we will be utilizing more per diem inspectors to provide inspection services when a full-time employee is not available. This could be when an inspector is on vacation, sick, injured, something of that nature. The staff dedicated to the building subcode includes one full-time building subcode official and 2 full-time building inspectors. In 2023, we also added a part-time per diem inspector who comes in later in the day and does a few inspections for us when needed. He's also used when a number of inspections requested is higher than normal or a full-time inspector is unavailable. His use is to ensure we comply with the required time to complete an inspection. In September of 2023, our building subcode official had also retired. He was replaced with a new full-time subcode official. And one of our full-time inspectors is retiring soon and will be replaced as soon as a viable candidate can be found. Plumbing subcode, the staff dedicated to the plumbing mechanical subcode, it's technically 2 separate subcodes, but they're all inspected by the same group, includes a full-time subcode official and 1 full-time plumbing mechanical inspector. In January 2024, just this year, we added another part-time per diem inspector that we utilize during vacations or extended absences of our full-time inspectors. Also, I perform inspections in that subcode when needed. My background is plumbing. Electrical subcode, the staff dedicated to the electrical subcode includes a full-time electrical subcode official and 1 full-time electrical inspector. Again, in January of this year, we added an inspector on a per diem basis. The fire subcode, we utilize the inspection services of the Brick Bureau of Fire Safety. We contract that out through a shared service arrangement. Elevator subcode, since Superstorm Sandy, with the requirements to elevate homes, there's been a significant increase in installation of residential elevators. They only need a single inspection, but they've gone wild. To remain in compliance with the state of New Jersey regulations, we added an additional elevator inspector in August of 2023. So we now have a part-time elevator subcode official and a part-time elevator inspector. As part-time employees, they are paid on an hourly rate when they are needed. The clerical staff, we have clerical duties include permit application intake, data entry, inspection scheduling, shepherding the applications through the plan review process, processing any violation notices, and once approved by the subcode official, issuing a permit. The clerical staff are the frontline staff that deals with the public and contractors on a daily basis, and they do a great job. In 2023, we had some transition on our support staff. A full-time clerical staff member was reassigned to a different department. A new full-time staff member was added to replace the transferred employee. Also, the reception desk with the responsibility for greeting, welcoming, directing citizens to the appropriate divisions have been staffed by a rotating different staff member from land use, engineering, and construction. That did not provide a very efficient and consistent service to the public. too many different people, too many different opinions of how it should work. So in 2023, an employee was transferred into the department just to fill that need. In addition to the reception staff member, there are presently 9 additional full-time clerical staff members. One clerk is the supervisor of the clerical staff. That staff member also processes applications for certificates of occupancy, responds and processes OPRA requests, and aids all clerical staff members in their duties. The other 8 clerical staff are of different tasks, including 3 permit intake clerical staff who are responsible for accepting residential permit applications, a permit intake clerk who specializes in the commercial construction applications that come in, and she also works with accepting other applications. A violation clerk is responsible for processing and preparing notices of violation, tracking and scheduling them for appropriate inspector to investigate properties following complaints. One clerk is responsible for scheduling construction inspections. One of our clerical staff is responsible for bookkeeping and other administrative functions. She's also shared a little bit with land use. Our clerks are all cross-trained, but they do stick to their primary responsibilities in most cases. Even with the changes to our staffing levels, the salary line item request for 2024 is stable, with a 1.7% decrease. When the requested overtime item, line item is added to our regular salary, it's totally for everybody, not just the clerical. It's reduced by 2.37%. The total operating budget request for 2024 increased by 1.9%. The largest change in our operating budget is for publications, line item 243. Every 3 years, new code additions are adopted. The next code change cycle will begin in 2025. In 2022, at the very end, we adopted all new codes. There was a grace period where they went into effect in 2023. So this line item will need to reflect the need to purchase new code books in the 2026 budget. So, you should expect it to go back up to where it was. We do have some challenges for 2024. This year we'll have several challenges because of changes to Uniform Construction Code regulations. We always work to diligently control costs, including overtime. So the overtime budget was reduced by about 14%. How the new laws are going to affect all that, I can't answer. New laws. I discussed last year that there was a new statute passed regarding the use of third-party agencies or supplemental shared service agreements for extra inspection staff, and a requirement for written requests for inspections. Those changes were estimated to begin in October 2023. That didn't happen. They did go into effect, however, as of April 1st of this year, so 5 days ago. The new regulations have been implemented. The new process allows for the use of third-party agencies or supplemental shared service agreement for with a different jurisdiction. In the past, if the township wished to utilize a third-party inspection agency or a shared service agreement to provide inspectors from a different jurisdiction, the entire subcode would need to be turned over to the third party or the other jurisdiction. For example, if we needed an additional building inspector for a large project, the building subcode official and all building inspectors would have to have been provided by the third-party agency through the shared service agreement. The new law allows third-party agencies to be utilized for an added staff without turning over the agency to the enforcement of the entire subcode. So as of April 1st, the state regulation, which is NJAC 5:23-4.6, has been changed and is now in effect. So we can do that. The new regulations also require the township to provide a process for all inspections to be written requests instead of phone calls. The Administrative Code 5:23-2.18 now requires the request for inspection to be submitted to the enforcing agency in writing. We have already started to provide that service through some workflow software that we use. They have a portal people can apply for inspection on. The owner or their agent can request the inspection electronically. The request must be submitted at least one full business day before you are requesting the inspection. And then the applicant needs to choose 3 possible dates out of our schedule. Our software will then notify the applicant of which date is approved for the inspection. If the request was sent outside of normal business hours, the request is considered received on the next business day after it was sent. We've already had someone request an inspection at 4:30 p.m. and requesting it for the next day. That's not the way it works. So one of the other days that they had requested were approved. They cannot request an inspection more than 30 days in advance. That was something we used to almost encourage. If you thought you were going to be ready, schedule it in advance. You can't do it more than 30 days anymore. The state of New Jersey is also directed the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs to create regulations for acceptance of electronic applications. Presently, applications must be submitted on New Jersey Department of Community Affairs standard forms with what we call a wet ink signature, an actual signature. NJDCA has not implemented these new regulations and processes and procedures necessary to allow the full electronic submittals, including electronic plans. It has been said that the delay was caused by the need to adjust the licensing law for regulated trades that presently require an embossed seal on all their documents and applications. That would be plumbers, electricians. That has not been, they haven't figured that out into satisfaction of the licensing board. This year will also bring some staff changes. As I stated, one of our building inspectors is leaving soon. His extensive knowledge of the construction codes will be difficult to replace. Also, a plumbing subcode official is considered leaving, though it may not now be till the following year. He too would be very difficult to replace. In addition, as you've heard already tonight, I've decided to retire. So regardless of who replaces me, there will eventually be some changes, I'm sure. Nobody ever does everything the same. The second budget that I manage is 196. It's for the code enforcement, property maintenance, and rental inspections. That's budget 196, like I said, and it's still within the division of inspections, but we do it kind of separately. The purpose of the municipal codes is to protect the quality of life of our residents and to ensure property owners are provided with safe housing when their units are rented. Our code enforcement staff includes 3 full-time inspectors and 1 full-time clerical member who also does some rental inspections. Supervisory help is provided by an acting code enforcement supervisor. 1 code enforcement officer also is, through a shared service agreement, is providing services for Manaloki as code enforcement and zoning. The township is fully reimbursed for those costs. 1 code enforcement officer does investigations during weekend hours, and the code enforcement officers share some evening shifts for complaints about light pollution or short-term rental complaints. The idea is for a code enforcement officer to be accessible and available for weekend complaints, which, as you can imagine, occur frequently. Saturday code enforcement hours do not generate overtime. One of our inspectors has a flexible schedule that allows him to work on Saturday. He'll take a different day off in the week. Workload. Rental re-occupancy inspections, rental and re-occupancy inspections. Rental inspections were conducted on 739 properties. 157 inspections were also conducted as re-inspections due to deficiencies discovered when the initial inspections were conducted. The total number of inspections, therefore, was 902. Fees collected for rental inspections totaled $81,750. The inspectors also investigate properties based on complaints or spot checks of problem properties that we're all aware of. 2,771 inspections were conducted. These inspections generated 1,693 notices of violation of the municipal code. 1,611 have been closed during the course of 2023. 82 remain open. 94 have been issued summonses to appear in municipal court. 38 of the summonses have been closed. In the past, we utilized an outside company to register properties that were vacant or were pending foreclosure, whether they're vacant or not. That program had always been run from an outside company that provided that service. However, they no longer provide the service. So the township has started to register those properties ourselves, starting this past November. So from November to the end of 2023, the township processed 98 registrations. We also processed 32 properties that were deregistered from the old list that was provided by the outside company. Total fees collected for registrations were $53,100. The state, there's a new law. The state now requires the township to collect proof of liability insurance from every business and many rental units. In Brick, this state requirement is accomplished by creating the mercantile license, which the council was gracious enough to provide. The process started slowly as we needed to educate many businesses about the new state regulation. But in 2023, starting in June, we issued 43 mercantile licenses and collected $1,075. As more of the public becomes aware, it should pick up. So the first 3 months of 2024, we've already issued 125 mercantile licenses, so it is picking up. The Property Maintenance Review Board is an active body that meets every 6 to 8 weeks, depending on how many cases we have. Their work remains essential to the township to ensure that property maintenance is followed both for safety reasons and for the overall aesthetics of our neighborhoods. Our staff works diligently to prepare cases to be presented to the board, provide testimony, make factual findings, and then implement the board's orders. Individuals that respond to code enforcement violations or respond to orders of the municipal court judge generally are not summoned to appear at the property maintenance board. It is primarily used when individuals have failed to respond to violation notices issued by code enforcement officers. In 2024, our request for operating expenses is significantly lower than 2023. This is primarily from a reduction in the line items to demolish structures. We used some of that money. Some of the structures scheduled for demolition have been removed by their owners or are presently undergoing repairs. We do not anticipate needing as much money for the demolition until the long legal process to remove structures are completed. We do have some challenges in this department. The state has now mandated that dwelling units built before 1978 that are rented for longer than 6 months must be inspected for possible lead hazards. Brick would only need to conduct visual inspections. It's based on the number of children in your area that have been diagnosed with lead poisoning. However, the law does have some triggers that would require additional testing or remediation. Properties that are required to be registered with the state, like large apartment complexes, are exempt because they are already checked for lead by the state and have been for 10 years. The council passed an ordinance in March 12th of this year to begin enforcement of that state regulation. The ordinance went into effect on April 4th of this year. So now we must inspect all rental units that are required to be inspected by July 22nd, 2024. And on units, every time there's a change of occupancy. Again, I want to thank you for this opportunity to present budget requests. The Division of Inspections looks forward to yet another year of supporting and assisting our residents. As I already indicated, this will be my last budget presentation. Thank you very much for the years of support. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Do you have any member of the public with a question?
Can you repeat page 5?
A little long. A little long. Goodbye.
Sorry about that. Sam Foster, 108 Chico Drive. I don't have a question, I just have a comment for Mr. Newman since he's announced that he's retiring. I just want to say both he and his father have been a great benefit to the Township of Brick, not just in government service, but as members of our community, and we're all going to miss him a lot. I know I'm going to, because I know his father very well, and well, not very well. I'm not going to. I knew him from being a Democrat and seeing, but they've both been very good for our town. They've served us well, and we're all going to miss you. And we hope I hope we all help you out. Have a long retirement.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank you for your service to the town.
Thank you. Anybody else from public? Seeing none, thank you. We have one more budget presentation. This one would be land use and zoning for Tara Paxton and Chris Romano, please.
Good evening. Thank you. It was a pleasure to be here for that presentation. We've all had, we don't do very well with keeping secrets downstairs. We were able to do that from Danny's look on his face. I think we got him. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you to Mayor Crate, Council President Minikino, and the entire governing body, as well as Business Administrator Joanne Bergen, for giving Christopher Romano, our zoning officer, and myself this opportunity to present the budget for the Division of Land Use and Planning. On behalf of our employees, we thank you for your support and your continued assistance you give us throughout the year. The Division of Land Use and Planning consists of the Zoning Office, Planning Board, Zoning Board, GIS mapping, grant management, community development, and general land use planning. The most notable accomplishments we'd like to highlight for 2023 include the following. We were awarded a Green Acres Program acquisition grant for the approval of $1.2 million for the much coveted purchase of the Bretton Woods project. So we're working through the acquisition right now and all of the due diligence with for the reimbursement with Ocean County Natural Lands Trust and the Green Acres Program. We had 3 elements adopted from our master plan library, including the circulation and transportation element, which was last drafted, I think, in 2000 by Ms. Cummins. Land use element resiliency update, which was something that the state had mandated in 2021 that every municipality accomplish, and we did that. And then we updated the 1979 environmental resources inventory. It was the natural resources inventory, and it's about this thick. And my staff, including Vin Palmieri and myself and Ed Peters, updated that document, and it was adopted by the Master Plan Committee and the Township's Planning Board. Another highlight is Ms. Cummins spoke about our community rating system annual review. We reviewed 78 elevation certificates this year, and our staff worked really diligently and resulted in a 99% compliance, which is, just proves the excellence in their work. Right now we have 3,549 insurance policies through the flood insurance program, National Flood Insurance Program in Brick, which results in over a $600,000 community-wide discount. It's a little bit less than $200 per resident, but it's all prorated based on their compliance. We have 7 full-time employees with 11 planning board members and 9 zoning board members. We serve to the staff of the Planning Board, Zoning Board of Adjustment, Land Use Committee, Master Plan Committee, Environmental Commission, Architectural Review Committee, Sustainable Brick Committee, the Green Team, which we're having our Green Fair on May 18th. Our Brick Open Space Savers, our newest committee, the Floodplain Management Planning Committee, which is part of the CRS program. Christopher serves as the ADA coordinator. We also assist the Shade Tree Commission in their annual certifications, and work with Homes Now, who administers our Affordable Housing Trust Fund and sit on the Homes Now board. In 2023, Our division collected $467,981.30 in affordable housing fees and passed on 85% of the funds to Homes Now, Inc. For the contract that we have with them to administer the funds. A total of 880 deed-restricted units exist in the municipality as affordable housing and are maintained in accordance with the Fair Share Act regulations. It's a big job and we need a lot of help to do that. I break our presentation up with expense and revenue. So I like to talk about the revenue first because it's fun when we earn money for the municipality. So the Division of Land Use and Planning has 5 main revenue sources that help to offset the costs to taxpayers for our operations. We collect permits and application fees, zoning permit fees, affordable housing fees, planning and zoning board application fees, and escrow fees. Then our expense is obviously our salary. Our budget for salary and wages for 2003 was decreased from what the budgeted amount was, including overtime, because most overtime charges are made to the rider accounts and the escrow accounts because they are related to planning board and zoning board cases. So our salary is offset by what we can charge to the escrow accounts and the rider accounts, as Ms. Cummins explained with the engineering fees as well. We also earn revenue through salary chargebacks. So because we manage many grants in the division, we charge 20% of our community development block grant to administration, which is realized in revenue of $54,080 last year. Our Affordable Housing Trust Fund is charged for part of my salary, which is $7,469. And then we charge $23,660 to the zoning board rider account and $22,297 to the planning board and zoning board escrow accounts. So these funds are not taxpayer funded, but grant funded and development fee funded, which result in a savings of $107,507 for a net salary expense in 2023 of $337,492. Our operating budget is increasing this year by $27,500 as a result of the expert services line items that we needed to increase to $60,000. This is needed for planning studies, surveys, environmental assessments, appraisals, and plans in preparation for master plan updates, mostly for open space purchases for the Green Acres program. Appraisals, surveys, preliminary environmental assessments, wetland delineations, and other studies are required when we purchase land. These funds are usually reimbursed to us, however, when we get the grant funding reimbursed. So we have to budget for it and then get paid back for it. At this point, I'm going to turn over the presentation to Christopher to talk about the zoning office and the boards.
Thank you, Tara. And thank you all for allowing me to speak today in regards to, in reference to our zoning office. And I'd also like to congratulate Dan Newman on his retirement. You left? Well, I served under him actually in the construction office for 2 years, and it was a great experience. Learned a lot from him. He's a terrific guy, and congratulations to him. So the zoning office is staffed by 2 employees, the zoning officer and a clerk. Zoning applications can range from a request to build a small shed to the development of a major shopping center. The zoning officer looks for consistency with board approvals and the zoning code. Our office is involved with all development applications from the initial informal meeting requests with applicants through the permitting process. In 2023, we processed 1,646 permit applications and brought in $103,525 in revenue from the issuance of permits. And the bulk of those permits, just to give you some examples, is single-family dwellings, single-family additions, in-ground pools, above-ground pools, spa, decks, sheds, fences, AC units, generators, finished basements, solar panels, and commercial tenant fit-ups. Sorry. So just to get to the 2 boards that hear residential and commercial development applications is the Zoning Board of Adjustment and the Planning Board. The Zoning Board of Adjustment heard 79 cases, 3 additional special hearings, took in $29,020 in application fees, $193,640 in escrow fees, and our Planning Board heard 13 cases, $24,625 in application fees was taken in, and $163,302 in escrow fees. And I'm going to send it back over to Tara to finish up. Thank you all.
Thanks, Chris. Next really integral part of our division is the GIS mapping division. Our GIS technician doesn't just work for our division, he works also for everybody, all the township divisions. We actually had him do a presentation a couple of years ago because some departments didn't know, what kind of product he could produce. Our GIS and data specialist works closely with the Brick Township Municipal Utility Authority and the Township Consulting Surveyor to maintain the township's computer mapping and tax maps, and manages data to create, analyze, convert, and maintain terabytes of GIS data. He creates hundreds of maps detailing everything from conservation efforts to snowplow routes. In 2023, we completed a 10-year update to our recreation and open space inventory, and we'll be working on the planning incentive plan, which is a huge mapping undertaking, which is a prerequisite to receiving more open space funding. Grant management is another project that I spend lots of time on and my staff helps me with. In 2023, the township received the Community Development Block Grant, fiscal year 2023 grant of $309,000. We received $101,000 in grant requests that we passed through to public service agencies, and we were only able to give out $46,000 in grants because we're capped at 15% of our total grant amount. But we passed that on to 13 nonprofit agencies that provide services to the residents of Brick and, further our mission of improving quality of life for the residents. Through the CDBG program in 2023, we completed 9 housing rehabilitation projects, which I'm super proud about because we were struggling for a couple of years in finding contractors. So we solved the problem by working with Northern Ocean Habitat for Humanity. So we're getting a lot more bang for our buck in passing through those grant funds, and a lot more families are being helped through this arrangement. We also closed out our COVID funds. We received over $1.1 million in COVID funds in 2019 and 2020, for which we passed through to Homes Now, Inc., which used it for rental and mortgage assistance to qualified families, and we helped, we found out today, 29 families. I only had 21 on my report from last year. And those are 29 families that did not lose their home to foreclosure or did not become homeless because we helped them with their funding for their housing. And 364 students and their families have been helped through the counseling grant that we passed through to Preferred Behavioral Health to help families and students who were struggling through COVID. And we also focused a lot of that funding on English as a second language families as well. Other grants that offset capital costs by providing funding for park development, open space acquisitions, electric vehicle charging stations, and other recreational amenities. Staff also assists other departments in their administration of their grants with the Department of Transportation, Department of Community Affairs, Department of Environmental Protection, the Department of Justice for police grants, and federal grants throughout the year. This concludes our report. Thank you for your continued support, and we look forward to working with you in the years to come.
Thank you. Does anybody from the public have a question for these professionals? Yes, sir.
Not a question, just a comment. I want to thank everybody in Brick Township that has anything to do with grants, okay? I noticed here you have $2,249,179. I don't know whether that's the total number for grants for the whole township or just for this division. So thank your people, and thank everybody else. Maybe sometime you could come out with that number and put a big smile on my face. What is the total amount of grants you get in 1 year for the?
that was actually. the
Right,
bid.
right, I see 1.2 for Brenton Woods and another one here for Mallard Point and another one here for something else, but all the other grants.
Well. Just herself. Just for, Joanne has done 1.2 from the Department of Community Affairs for the Senior Services Program.
Okay,
Then that's just, but there are, we can give you a number, I guess we can, it's actually in the budget.
I know you have nothing else to do,
There's-
especially during budget time.
Well, I think it's, the main, yeah, the main page of the budget actually lists the grant revenue.
All right, well, thanks to all those people that do that. It saves us money.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else from public have questions for these professionals? Seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And this brings us to our consent agenda.
All matters listed under item consent agenda will be enacted by one motion in the form listed below. If discussion is desired on any item, this item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately.
Thank you. 4-1, please.
Authorize receipt of bids, automated chest compression devices.
Councilman Feynman.
Thank you, Council President. This resolution authorizes the receipt of bids for automated chest compression devices as needed for the Township's emergency medical technicians. Thank you.
Thank you. 4-2.
Authorize receipt of bids, general athletic equipment and supplies.
Councilwoman Travers.
Thank you, Council President. This resolution authorizes the receipt of bids for general athletic equipment and supplies, included but not limited to athletic equipment, summer camp supplies, preschool games, etc., used by the Recreation Department. Thank you.
Thank you. 4-3.
Authorize receipt of bids, flood control valves.
Councilman Ambrosino.
Thank you, Council President. This resolution authorizes the receipt of bids for the purchase and delivery of various size check valves and their installation. The township has many streets with low-lying elevation and high tides that can cause flooding when water backs up into storm sewers. The valves will be placed within the municipally owned storm drainage pipes in areas subject to tidal inundation. A properly installed check valves allows storm water to flow out, but prevents tide water from flowing into the storm sewers and can reduce instances of flooding that result from tide elevations that are higher than the surrounding streets. Thank you.
Thank you. 4-4.
Authorize rejection of bids and rebid manufacturing and printing of tax bills.
Councilman Albanese.
Thank you, Council President. This resolution authorizes the rejection of bids and rebid for the manufacturing of printing and tax bills. Bid notices were provided to 31 prospective bidders from our bidders list, and 3 picked up bid packages. 1 bid was received but was rejected due to it substantially exceeding the cost of estimate for the project. We are re-advertising in hopes of getting a more appropriate priced proposal.
Thank you. 4-5.
Authorize award of contract upfit to 6 Ford Police Inceptor utility vehicles.
Councilwoman Pontarera.
Thank you, Council President Menachino. This resolution authorizes an award of bid for seasonal turf application to Sue Green located in Farmingdale. This contract provides for Ford weed control and fertilizer applications per year for approximately 71 total acres per application at 15 different locations, including our township parks, recreational facilities, as well as the municipal complex itself. Oh, I am so sorry. I recant everything I just said. That was a radiation brain moment. So, no one is perfect.
But you said that perfectly.
Mr. Council President, may I have another attempt?
Sure.
Thank you. Okay, this is a lot shorter. Better. This resolution authorizes the Board of Contract to East Coast Emergency Lighting located in Millstone in the amount of $94,829.40 for the purchase and installation of various equipment for new police patrol vehicles.
Thank you. 4-6, please.
Authorize award of contract, purchase and delivery of 48 front-load dumpsters.
Councilwoman Travers.
Thank you, Council
Thank
President.
you.
This resolution authorizes an award of contract to Redco Products, Vineland, in the amount of $1,242 per container for the purchase and delivery of 48 front-load dumpsters as needed for solid waste collection. Thank you.
Thank you. I guess we'll do 4-7 again.
Authorize award of contract, landscape maintenance services at Solar Field.
Thank you. Councilwoman DeYoung.
Thank you. This resolution authorizes an award of contract to on-site landscape management of Millstone in the amount of $56,000 for the landscape maintenance services at the solar field. The scope of work for this project includes a spring and fall mowing, seed mix with fertilizer, hay, topsoil mulch, vegetation removal, and disposal of riprap areas of approximately 15 acres. This is a 2-year contract. Thank you.
Thank you. 4-8.
Authorize award of contract, beer and wine garden concession.
Thank you. This resolution authorizes an award of contract to Windward Tavern Brick for the beer and wine garden concession for the township's events in the amount of $7,100. Bid notices were provided to 26 prospective bidders from our bidders list, and 3 picked up bid packages. 1 bid was received. 4-9, please.
Authorize demolition of structure and lien 24 Adair Drive, Block 280, Lot 32.
Thank you. Councilman Feynman.
Thank you, Council President. This resolution authorizes the demolition of 24 Adair Drive as ordered by the Township Property Maintenance Board. Thank you.
Thank you. 4-10.
Authorize special events permit, Church of Epiphany Italian Feast.
Councilman Ambrosino.
Thank you, Council President. This resolution authorizes a special event permit for Epiphany Church to hold their Italian feast from 5 to 10 p.m. on August 15th, 16th, 17th, and 18th at the church on Thiel Road. And we go every year.
Thank you. 4-11, please.
411A is a performance bond release for Block 646, Lot 31.
Thank you. 4-12.
12A are tax overpayments for 2024 of Block 1429.02, Lot 2.
Thank you. And this brings us to the end of our consent agenda. Can I get a motion and a second?
Motion.
Second.
Open to council. Seeing none, close council. Open to public for questions on the resolutions. Yes, sir.
Sam Foster, 108 Chico Drive. 3 quick questions. First of all, I go to the Sheriff of the Epiphany thing very well, a lot too, and I like it a lot there. However, I was there several years ago, and I had a question about if there is going to be any township officials there to, they had like a flea market. I don't know if they still do it there. I haven't been there in like 3 years. If they have still have their flea market there, because I was there about several years ago, and someone was selling fake megalodon teeth. And I know something about megalodon because it's like, along with the cryptids, I'm not going to get started in that. People start laughing at me. But anyway, I suspect it was a fake tooth because a real one is worth, first of all, he's selling for $50. A real one goes for thousands. I picked up, it's very light, like it was plaster. He admitted it was a plaster cast, but he was selling it like it's a real tooth. So the church people, they're very nice. They threw him out of there because he was selling fake teeth. You're not going to get a megalodon tooth for $50. But like I said, no complaints about the church. They're great staff, and they acted immediately. But they have the whole thing there. Is Brick Township plan on having anything like inspectors there to make sure, or before someone is granted I guess they have permit. If you go to a flea market like Clownswood, they're supposed to check to make sure that nothing is like stolen merchandise. Before they grant the permit. I don't know who, if the church grants the permit to people to do the flea market, or is it the township? Because that was the only thing I saw that it was suspicious, the fake tooth. Who is responsible for that?
Madam Clerk, would you like to add anything about the permit process?
Well, it does say that they're gonna have food and craft vendors, but generally speaking, the township does not send officials to,
Okay.
inspect
Okay, yeah, because I don't know if he sold any, but people would have been ripped off paying $50 for a fake tooth, and they think it's real. All right, like I said, that's gonna be the end of my discussion on cryptids. I'm not gonna bring up anything else like Burring Jaw, Jersey Devil, anything like that. So I just don't want anybody to laugh at me. Second question is, I have the question about number 6, the front-end loader dumpsters. Where are they being installed? This is not for residents, I guess, correct?
These are in communities such as
Could
Evergreen
you
Woods.
speak into the, yeah,
Oh,
I don't.
I'm sorry, I thought
no,
it was
no,
there.
no,
But
yeah,
these are
because
for communities that have front-end loaders, like condominium units and apartment units where we collect the garbage.
Okay, does that include Evergreen Woods, or is that private?
I believe we do collect in Evergreen Woods.
Okay, because I used to live there, and I
Yes.
don't know who, okay. All right, and let me see. On number 7, has the township checked to see if it will be cheaper to have Brick Township employees do the lawn maintenance as opposed to an outside contractor?
Yes, we have. I'm sorry, Mr. Foster.
No,
over
that's
here.
right. My hair, this is my good ear anyway, so don't worry about it.
Council President nodded my way, so I jumped in.
Okay.
Yes, so we have looked into that, and there is a significant slope that we are unable to mow with the current equipment we have. So we've priced out buying the equipment, training the employees, but we are also having an issue with our joint insurance fund, who provides us with insurance based on the safety of our guys on the slope of that significance.
Okay, and just one other question. I know Township has a lot of controversy right now about the height limit of the buildings that was going on for several years now. They have proposals like build higher buildings and stuff. Does Brick Township have a height limit on buildings and statues? I know the state of New Jersey does.
Yes, we sure do.
What is it? Is it the state of New Jersey's height restriction, or is it different?
We have our own height ordinance.
Do you know what it is offhand?
And developers would need a variance if they want to exceed that height, and I think it varies based on zone.
So do you know offhand how much it would be? Or I could find that information?
Yeah, you can find that out from land use because it varies based on zone.
From who?
Land use, the land use department,
use?
planning, downstairs,
That's the building department, right?
the building department.
Okay, all right, thank you, that's it.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else in public, please? Yes. You can come up together if you want. Yep. Thank you. And this is about the resolutions?
Yep. Yes.
Okay.
Number 8, I think it was.
9.
Number 9, sorry, yes. 24 Deer Drive.
Okay.
Hi, I'm nervous. It's my first time
That's
here.
okay, relax, we're neighbors.
My name is Ruvain Koren. I'm the owner of 24 Adair. I recently purchased it. I know the previous owner that let go of a lot of violations and stuff, and then we up to the point they want to demolish the house. We went through with engineers and everything, and we're ready to submit paperwork to renovate the house, lift it, and get it up to standard. So I'm asking to delay the demolition.
Mr. Starkey.
Yes, if I can interject, this is a matter that's been before the Property Maintenance Board several times. I know dating back to at least 2021, and for years prior to that, this property was in significant disrepair. The Property Maintenance Board has held hearings. I don't know if you've been to those hearings, but it's really been a disaster for a while. Now, I did hear that the property recently changed hands. I know you're looking to submit permits. I'll tell you how this works. The demolition is going to be authorized to take place after May 30, on or after May 31st, so 6 weeks from now. So you do have an opportunity. I know you have not gotten your applications in a complete form into the building department, but you know this has been years and years in the making. You have an opportunity if you want to get your applications in for demolition and they are completed and they are approved by the building department, and you get your permit, you can move forward yourself. There's also another Property Maintenance Board hearing that's on the 24th of this month. That's I believe it's at 3 p.m. in the room across the hall. You're welcome to attend that. We are getting the recommendation from the Property Maintenance Board for the demolition, but I suggest that you have an opportunity here, but you have to move
rapidly because the township has been waiting a long time, and it's my recommendation, the Property Maintenance Board's recommendation, that the council move forward tonight, authorizing the property for demolition, with the understanding that it will not take place until on or after May 31st. So there's more than a 6-week period for you to take action if you can. But if not, I recommend that the township authorize the vendor to move forward. There will be a lien then, if the township does it, placed against the property for the cost of that demolition.
This is if I want to do demo. How about lifting? We have plans for lifting.
Yeah, so
Township
I
required
thought
lifting.
if I could just jump in, because I thought I heard you say
Right.
that as well. So the Property Maintenance Board
Is it an unsafe condition?
issued orders, so if you are opting to elevate and rebuild, then you are going to need a structural, Dan Newman, if you can correct me, you need a structural evaluation. And
We
these are
have that.
things that we, and a permit for all the work that you just
We have
disclosed.
everything ready. So the point is, I asked downstairs, they told me 6 weeks minimum to get permits approved.
Okay, but
6 weeks
submitting
is
them
exactly the
helpful
time that
because
we're
the
talking,
clock
so I need
hasn't started
something more.
Until you submitted them, and this has been going on since 2002, and we've had several
Well,
new
we are not the
owners.
owners since
Hold
then.
on, I'll finish. We've had several new owners each time telling us exactly what you're telling us, so here's where the rubber hits the road.
Right.
You have to submit those permit applications, the structural report by a licensed professional telling us that it can be elevated, and detailed permits. If it takes us 6 weeks, it takes us 6 weeks, but submitting it is the first step, and that's not been done.
This is right here. I was here this
Doesn't
week, they
help
came
that it's
back with
right
something
here
else.
tonight, helps nobody
We'll have it in
whatsoever.
tomorrow morning.
It has to be submitted to
It's
the
gonna
building
be done
department.
tomorrow morning. Can we get extra time? Can we discuss how we do this 6 weeks?
No, we're proceeding with.
I'm not
time
asking for,
because-
it's
Yep,
6
yep.
weeks processing time, so we're talking on the same dates.
You have an opportunity to go to the building department tomorrow morning. You have an opportunity to go to the property maintenance board on the 24th, and you can make your case there. But right now, we've got a recommendation, and from the property maintenance board to proceed because we have not seen any action, on the property. And I hear you standing here right now. It's been 20 years, more than 20 years, that this property's been a problem.
Possible.
So, I would say if you move quickly, come in tomorrow morning to the building department, and if you can get your permits, maybe you can do it on your own.
And state law gives the building department 21 business days to review.
Right.
So that's state law. You should have planned that
Yeah,
in
but
your
they tell me that-
timeline.
okay,
You should have
yeah.
planned in your timeline a 21-day review by the Brick, business day review by the Brick Township Building Department. It isn't fair to have this be dormant and unaddressed. I spoke to a resident of that neighborhood today who is absolutely positively out of patience. So it isn't fair to come here with the permits that are not submitted to the building department and expect us to waive any.
The point is, the
any
first hearing
timelines.
the first hearing letter we received was on December 26th, I think, 2023.
Okay.
We're talking of 4 months. That's the first time I heard about it. It takes time to process stuff. So
Okay.
I don't know if how many hearings were here. We received the first one on December 26th, 2023. And that's when we
When
started
did you
working.
buy the property?
We bought the property on January 2023. And the first time we received was in December.
They purchased the property in January of 2023.
And the first letter we received was in December 23.
Okay, but so you did no due diligence whatsoever before you purchased the property?
Agreed, yes. Agreed. But again, I'm saying, we didn't receive anything, so I can't really prepare myself. Here I am.
Okay.
It's ready to go, so that's what I just want to know. Okay. I'll be here tomorrow
I
morning.
would ask the council not to grant any extensions. The process is the process. If they submit the permits and come before the property maintenance board, they'll make that appeal to our construction official and the property maintenance board.
Accepted. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen, thank you. Anybody else on the resolutions? Yes, only on the resolutions. Close public, roll call?
Councilman Albanese.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontoriero.
With one comment, I have been on this council for 10 years, and I can recall numerous residents pleading with this council to do something about that property. So just for the sake of this record, that after hearing this for years and after knowing that the acquisition took place approximately 1 year ago, I vote yes, but that's my basis for going forward. It's all of those neighbors who have begged us for years. Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilman Feynman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Travers.
Yes.
Vice President Ambrosino.
Yes.
President Menachino.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. brings us to our computer bill resolution.
Be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Brick that the following bills be paid and that the mayor and clerk be and are hereby authorized to draw orders on the treasurer for the amounts of the same. Computer bill resolution in the amount of $4,388,223.54.
Thank you. Can I get a motion and a second?
Motion.
Second.
Thank you. Open to council. Seeing none, close council. Open to public for questions on the computer bills. Seeing none, close public. Roll call.
Councilman Albanese.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontoriero.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilman Feynman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Travers.
Yes.
Vice President Ambrosino.
Yes.
President Menachino.
Yes.
Thank you.
This brings us to our manual bill resolution.
Be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Brick that the following bills be paid and that the mayor and clerk be and are hereby authorized to draw orders on the treasurer for the amounts of the same. Manual bill resolution in the amount of $1,943,338.29.
Thank you. Can I get a motion and a second, please?
Motion.
Second.
Thank you. Open to council. Seeing none, close council. Open to public on questions on the manual bills. Seeing none, close public. Roll call.
Councilman Albanese.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontoriero.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilman Feynman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Travers.
Yes.
Vice President Ambrosino.
Yes.
President Menachino.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. This brings us to 5-1, ordinance on second reading.
Calendar year 2024 ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank, NJSA 48:4-4514.
Thank you. Councilman Ambrosino.
Thank you, Council President. This ordinance allows the township to establish a cap bank for future use. The ordinance allows for increases for budget appropriations and allows the township to bank any unused monetary room. This cap bank ordinance allows the township to increase budget appropriations by 3.5% over the prior year's appropriations and to bank any unused appropriation room for the next 2 succeeding years. This ordinance is simply precautionary. It is not funded through a tax increase, since it is only used in subsequent years should we need to fund a one-time expenditure. The monies available by the cap rate index ordinance may be used to offset costs of any future disasters and the need for any future emergency appropriation. We are not generating cash. We are creating the ability to raise money in the future should we need it. If the funds are not needed in the 2 succeeding years, the bank is simply dissolved. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I get a motion and a second?
Motion.
Thank you. Open to council. Seeing none, close council. Open to public for questions on the second reading. Yes, sir.
We seem to do this quite often, practically every year. From my understanding, you are collecting this money, right? Okay, so how does that affect the tax levy? You're collecting the money, but you're not spending it.
We're not collecting the money. It's a paper, it's a formula on paper. So it's X amount of dollars above what you have in your bank, which if something happens, say next year we get hit with a Superstorm Sandy, we can then go into it and create money that we can use without having to do special bond ordinances and all that other
Well, you either have the money or you don't.
We have the ability to access money if we need to, without going through
Access
other
it from-
processes that take 2 council meetings to be heard, bond ordinances and so
Access it
forth.
from where?
By creating it, by taking the bank, taking the paper bank that exists, and then you would go about financing it without having to bond.
Okay, I might be a little slow.
I know, I try explaining it to you every year and you don't get it, and I say, you could try
Well,
Mo if you don't get it from me.
I don't think anybody else gets it. If you're gonna have this money to spend in future years,
It gives you the ability to borrow money if you need to in subsequent years without having to go to the state and exceed your cap bank, or without having to
borrow it
bond.
from where?
You would borrow it from money that you would then be raising if you needed to raise it for.
And how are you raising this money?
In Sandy, we were able to, because we had the cap bank, we were able to access that, which just gets dissolved if you don't use it. It's not money, it's not real money. It's the ability to borrow money in a different process than a typical process.
Maybe you could tell me how you can raise money that's not really money. I'd like to do it in my own house.
It's the ability to borrow money in a way that's different from how we typically borrow money.
All right.
You typically borrow money through emergency bond ordinances, or if you have to exceed your cap, that you have to go to the state to do that. You don't have to do that by just simply establishing this ordinance.
Okay, so if you're not borrowing it from where you normally borrow it, where are you borrowing it from? Where's this money coming from?
So the way that you borrow it, just like you would borrow any other money, you would bond it, but you don't have to go through the same process to borrow it. You go through a different process to borrow it because it's on paper that you have it, so you can go ahead and do it without having 2 council meetings and public hearings
Okay,
and so forth.
but you're not-
Of course, it's an emergency, so it can only be used for certain reasons. It can't just be used because you want to buy a police car or a garbage truck.
Okay, so you're not, just so I understand, and I'll get it this
You're not
time.
going to understand it because we've been doing this for
No,
10
no,
years.
no, maybe I will. I'm getting older.
Right,
Who knows?
and I'm not saying it's easy to understand.
You're not collecting anything, you're only putting the ability to collect it when you need it,
Yes, that's correct.
other than the way you normally do it.
Correct, yes.
I told you, but
Now, remember this, go watch the tape next year before you come back.
I will remember it. I'm not that old. I'm old, but I'm not that old. I remember things. Is this the public comment or just on the ordinance?
Just on the ordinance, sir.
Okay. Can I stay up here for the next
No.
section? Okay. I'll be back.
Thank you.
And I got it. I got it.
Yay!
Anybody else from public on the second read? Yes, sir.
He didn't get it, though.
Thanks
for taking that, I'm not going to ask the same question, I promise. Charlie Bacon, 366 Rancocas Drive. Good evening, Mayor, Council, and Administrators. I do have a question about this. And the question is, Mayor, the last meeting you talked about, it looks like you're going to have a 1.9 increase on the budget. Is that correct? Okay. Looking at the contracts that were signed in late December of '22, right? And they were pretty significant, well-deserved. Nobody's questioning that. We all know the cost of living and everything else has gone up. And you kind of go through them, start with a PBA, 18% across 4 years, transport workers, 22, Teamsters crossing guards, 18, and Teamster supervisors, 22%. So where I have a couple questions on that is we didn't have a tax increase last year. And across the board, basically these contracts came into play between 6 and 5%. So we didn't have a tax increase. I'm not complaining. My taxes are high enough. And at that time, I believe, I wasn't here, full disclosure, at that meeting, you had mentioned you retired debt. But those 6% increases last year, and now they're going into 5s for the second year, have to come back somewhere in the budget. So, you know, looking at the numbers last year and looking at them this year, I don't see a 1.9. Is this cap bank possibly going to be invoked this year? So how are we going to make up that increase in those new contracts from last year or in December of '22? So that's where I'm a little questioned. I know the budget review's coming up in 2 weeks, and I can hold some of that for then. But that's the question I had about the cap bank. It was a little confusing to me because it looks like that's an avenue you could potentially use this year. I wasn't sure, you know, is this something that's done every year? You pretty much do the same ordinance, just in case an emergency comes up, something like that. So
The only time we've used it is Hurricane Superstorm Sandy.
I could understand that.
The only time.
Yeah, okay. So thanks for the clarification. Just had some questions about the contracts and how that plays into this year's budget, especially in light of what took place last year. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else from public have questions on this? Seeing none, thank you. Close public, roll call.
Councilman Albanese.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontoriero.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilman Feinman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Travers.
Yes.
Vice President Ambrosino.
Yes.
President Menachino.
Yes.
Thank you.
And this brings us to public comments.
Please note that each person addressing the council during any section of the meeting during which public comment is permitted shall limit his or her remarks to 5 minutes pursuant to Brick Township Administrative Code, Section 2-33B.
Mr. Sluka.
John Sluka, 950 Sylvia Court. Maybe for the budget, we could add some water in for a night like today. It's like 150 degrees in here. Sure, you got water. I'm dying. Yeah, now. I could have used it an hour ago. Okay, let me read my letter to Dear Mayor Crate, March 30th, 24. Council President Vincent Manichino, all Brick councilmen, councilwomen, the people of Brick, workers, residents, and the newspaper. Everyone may know that the New Jersey Turnpike Authority commissioners put a group of trees in Evergreen Woods area, which were maintained and still are maintained by the association. There were approximately 80 trees that were about 3 foot tall. Now they're maybe up to 10 foot, some of them. These trees were planted 8 years ago, and they are continue to be maintained by the association and are in a 1 row next to the Garden State Parkway fence. That's all they said they could put in because they couldn't put doubles or triples or whatever. There wasn't enough room on the Evergreen Woods side of the fence. Doesn't mean they couldn't do anything on the other side of the fence, but they didn't. Well, the kids wait across the street from these trees, which again is really close to the parkway, waiting for the buses, swimming pools that are in Evergreen Woods, for instance, and other places, playground, which again, if you look in Evergreen Woods or the parkway entrance to Herbert Park, I think it is, they're close to the parkway entrance and stuff like that. So basically, Evergreen Woods and a lot of other places have the same kind of problem with the pollution flowing across. These trees are obviously not sufficient and do little help to the residents. The New Jersey Turnpike Authority commissioners care very little for us all and does nothing to help the residents in Brick Township. Air pollution in all forms is responsible for 6.5 million deaths a year globally, and the number has increased in the last few years. Vehicles are a major source of air pollution, producing about 1/3. If you go to Evergreen Woods and look out at the parkway, you could eye level the parkway. So obviously that's about where the pollution is, and it's 20 feet off of the main road, 20 feet, 50 feet, 60 feet off of where the kids wait for the bus stops every morning. The smog, carbon dioxide, and other toxins emitted by these vehicles are troubling, and they leave the tailpipe is at that street level. The Garden State Parkway continues to impact the lives of the not-so-wealthy residents, and very little is ever done. In the addition of the NIH Research Matters they read about the findings of the Health and Retirement Study. Funding of the New Jersey Institute of Aging shows the higher pollution was linked to the risk of dementia. Research also found that young adolescents' brains develop differently than were exposed to in air pollution during childhood. Even when pollutants levels are below the national standards, it still impacts our children. This study is the first to assess how air pollution may affect the growth of children's functional networks, which pass information between different regions of the brain, essentially cognitive and emotional development. We just had, we'll probably have it in a couple of weeks if anybody wants to go to the meeting that we're going to have on the Board of Education. You're going to get to hear a little bit about the report, and if you didn't read it in the paper. Brick is still below and stays below the national average on most areas. I'm trying to get there. So a 14-foot noise pollution and safety wall along with increased number of trees and brush is needed alongside the heavily expanded Garden State Parkway. The people of Evergreen Woods, the people of Greenbrier, the people of Briar Mill, the people of going to the schools and working at the Brick High School and Lanes Mill School die prematurely and get little or no help. People of Cherrywood Town Hall and the library also feel the abuse of the New Jersey Turnpike Authority. We need to have people start caring for the people of the community, not just sitting around. I guess the council comments of the meeting are a great opportunity to say what they really believe, or you could just say nothing and just same thing has been said for the last 10 years, basically nothing. Thanks for your time, John Sluka. I yield back 10 seconds, almost yield back.
Thank you. Young lady?
Well, after that, this seems pretty trivial, but it's driving me nuts. We were at a baseball game in New York City, and we got cut off, my girlfriend beeped, we got pulled over, we got a ticket for beeping coming out of the stadium. And then I had a dinner the other night, and everybody's saying, do you realize how crazy it is around Brick? Now, I'm in a vehicle a minimum of 52 hours a week, in Brick, not out of Brick, only in Brick. And I gotta tell you, they're not beeping at me, but it's like some people know before the light is gonna turn green that it's gonna turn green. Is there, maybe would you guys consider putting in an ordinance for that as well? It's crazy. I live over on Forge Pond Road, and besides that parkway work that they did, and feeling like a zombie with that zoom zoom that I hear all night now because they didn't plant hardly any trees, like he said. You know, you go out on the road, and where Jack Martin and 88 is, where Jack Martin and 70 is, where the big intersection is, 70, 88 Princeton Avenue, well, that all meets. It's just a cluster over by the plazas, and it's loud for no reason. Like, people are beeping their horns out of, I don't know, we're living in the twilight zone today, maybe, but I was thinking, would you guys consider something like that? I mean, I know there's not a whole lot of manpower, and a policeman would have to catch somebody beeping the horn for no good reason, for a school bus to move over, or because they don't have the right of way. But if it's out there and we use it, maybe it'll cut down a little bit on this noise pollution. This is getting nuts. And I don't know why it is like that by Jack Martin and 88, besides being filthy dirty. And I know it's time for spring cleanup because the bennies are coming in. But, well, really, you know, it's time for, but whoever owns that land, that big triangle piece of land, the state only does a couple of feet. We got to get on the owners of that property to do more. I mean, it's not his fault that people are littering it, but it is his property. It's not my fault on Forge Pond that I got to pick up little airplane bottles, but I got to do it, you know, and he hasn't done it. So I was wondering if you guys would like just take that into consideration. Some kind of, I mean, I found it so strange that in New York City, I had to go back to the Bronx for a beeping ticket. You know, with my friend Michelle, we had to actually go to court for a ticket for beeping. And I thought, you know what, if they can do it, and they can do it, why can't we do it?
Mr. President, may I be heard on this issue?
Sure.
Thank you. I want to ask our township council, would beeping in that manner be considered a form of aggressive driving?
It could be. I want to address this by saying there are two laws that govern traffic in town. Most of the traffic laws come from the state. It's what's called Title 39, state laws. That's most of what is enforced. The town does things like, you know, parking and you know, basic things like that. But the police have the discretion for, you know, excessive use of the horn to write tickets for that under state law. So the council, this council here doesn't have to do anything to enact that. I think probably what you're seeing, and I've been up to Yankee Stadium, you come out, part of the problem with Yankee Stadium is you're sitting in traffic and the cops can sort of walk over to your car.
And yeah, that's exactly what he did, pull over, you beeped your horn.
And you're right, part of the issue here is the police, in order to enforce it, have to observe it, have to, in their discretion, determine that it's excessive, have to stop the car and have to write out a ticket for them. It's been done in the state. I just, you know, I think it depends on the discretion of the police, but it's really not up to this council here. It's up to the individual police officers out on the street.
So basically talk to the new chief and see what he thinks to enforce it. Because it's just gonna get worse. And, you know, I mean, I'll go anywhere rather than go through our neighbor's town to get where I gotta go out west because of that stuff. So I'm just thinking, you know, if they enforce it a little bit, maybe it'll slow down. Maybe not, but maybe.
We can put that on the agenda for the next public safety
Thank you.
meeting.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
There's a bus that goes up to Yankee Stadium too. It's easy to get up there and back.
A bunch of drunks on that.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Okay. two things. First, if you remember a couple meetings ago, there was a resident here that was talking about the dance studio on Drum Point Road, and his conflict was being done as a renovation rather than a new build, but the only thing left was the phony front wall that you could see was phony. Well, that front wall is gone now, so that's not even there. I don't know if you did anything about it or anybody went and checked. The only thing to my eye that's still there from the original building, which by the way, the one that's there is at least twice the size of the one that was there, is the four steel posts in the front and the high beam that goes across the front of it. That's the only thing left from the original building. So if that counts as a renovation, I'll shut my mouth, but it sure smells fishy. End of that. Second thing, in my mind, there's a difference between your budget and the tax levy. Would I be correct in that? Your budget is what you spend. And I know we're not allowed to talk about the budget till next meeting, but my question is simple, and it has to do with the tax levy. According to what I read and what you gave out, the tax levy, amount to be raised from taxes for support of municipal budget, 84,862,000, blah, blah, blah. 84,862,000. From last year, same report, different year, that amount was $80,547,000. That's a difference of $4,315,000, or an increase in the tax levy of 5.35%. Am I correct? Then again, I fight my cause. This is not a budget question. This is a tax levy question. And if you don't have anything, I will gladly lend you my sheet from last meeting, my sheet from last year. The difference is $4,315,000. Now, there was a lot of talk about the budget and everything else, but nobody mentioned that. Nobody mentioned the fact that the tax levy is going up 5.35%. I'll give you till next meeting to check your numbers. Here's what I want you to remember, because I'm going to ask it again, right? Those are your numbers, not mine. Tax levy's going up 5.35%. That's for here. You know, the school district is going to go at least max 2% because they have no choice. So that's almost 7.5% increase in taxes. That does not include the county tax, the library tax, the health tax, the county open space tax, the municipal open space tax, or the fire district tax. So while it's nice to say that the average house in brick might only go up $98, this sure doesn't look like $98 to me. We are looking at a potential of anywhere from 7.5% to a 10% increase in our overall taxes. And before you say you only control your part of it, what I'm looking at right now, your numbers, your part of it is going up more than 5%. So maybe by next meeting, you can explain how that is, what that is, why that is. And I know there's no cap money going in there because we got that resolved. So how come we're spending 1.9% more money, but we're increasing the tax levy by over 5%? You want to answer it now or wait till next meeting? Okay. Then you know what's coming.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else from public? Yes, sir.
Bob Maliano in Brick. So I asked last meeting about the dredging at Traders Cove, and that's being done with what money? From a grant, I believe?
Yeah, so we got a $5 million NJDP marshland restoration grant, and one of the first areas, there's 3 areas in the state for us to start on.
Right.
Fisher Cove, Traders Cove, and I don't recall the third one off the top of my head.
Okay, so that grant is specifically for Traders Cove, or is it a grant for Brick Township to use where they feel it should be used?
It's a grant for Brick Township to use, but it's in concert with the NJDEP and Fish and Wildlife, who have identified, one, the areas of marshland that they want restored, and two, areas of, that are in need of dredge based on bathymetry and other things that show us how deep needs dredging. So we
Okay,
had
so-
to provide them with a lot of data on what's in the ground and like I
Mhm.
said, with the bathymetry, how deep it is for them to tell us what areas are priorities.
Right. So Elise, was her name? Alyssa called me 2 days ago, and she told me, about the dredging and stuff like that. So she's figuring out that it would cost us in that development for 25 houses, $3 million to get our, area dredged.
All areas are being assessed. So even those in the grant are being assessed because the grant is for the marshland restoration, not for the dredging. So
Right.
every area that's being dredged is being assessed.
Right. So we have a lot of fill there, so if we're gonna fill the marshlands, wouldn't it be useful to take that's there and put it wherever you need it,
The
or not?
material would have to be tested to
Right.
see if it meets the criteria for marshland restoration.
Mhm.
And I don't know that that area's been tested.
Right.
That's the first step. And I don't think we have any bathymetry that shows what's happening, how deep we'd have to go or any of that stuff that's been done.
So I was just questioning, like, what do we have to get on a list to get tested, or?
What did Alyssa say?
She said it'll cost you $3 million, so you gotta get everybody together, your taxes are gonna go up I think it was $120,000 over 10 years, which is a lot of money.
Yeah, so she wanted you to know that
Right.
because there's nobody else from your area that has been reaching out to us saying, we want to be dredged.
We-
We did our first pilot dredge under an assessment program 2 years ago. Nageco, thank you, I just couldn't get it. Yeah, at Nageco, and they were assessed.
Mhm.
So it's per square foot of,
Right,
footage
that's what
of
she said.
material that's
Right.
dredged. So we typically are looking at the areas where, or we have looked at areas where a number of people that live in that area have come and said, we can't get our boats in and out, we need to be dredged.
Mm.
So you coming to the council meeting was the first time that somebody spoke up from your particular area
Right.
saying they need to be dredged. So she wanted you to know
Mm.
that it's not necessarily a resident coming saying, hey, we'd like to be dredged. It's going to impact all of your neighbors because they will all be assessed.
Okay, but can't,
Assessment's not a choice.
can't some of that grant money be used?
The grant money would only be used for the marshland restoration point. You will be assessed, just like everybody else being
Right.
dredged is being assessed.
So next meeting, I should have a list of everybody in there.
Well, no,
And-
you don't really need to come to a meeting, it's all done through the engineering department. They issue permits for
Mm.
dredging. So
Right.
if people are coming in for these permits, which
Mm.
the council went through the process of getting a townwide dredge permit.
Right.
To save people from having to go to the state and having to do all of the work that's involved with getting a permit. We did all that work on behalf of all of Brick Township. So it's an engineering function to request to be dredged, and she brings that up to us for purposes of when it's time to do an assessment. We're only doing 3 dredge projects in the first phase, that's all the state wants us to start with. But
Mhm.
the grant was for the marshland restoration. So if you're coming in, then we could easily do a mailing to all of your neighbors telling them how the assessment project works.
Right.
But
But it's gonna cost everybody $120,000 to get our property dredged, that Manalocan Road is filling us in, the shopping center, all that runoff is just coming into our area.
Okay,
So,
that doesn't mean you're not gonna get assessed. Where the water comes from doesn't give you freedom from the assessment. That's the process that we're doing, so that it's equitable to everybody in Brick Township.
okay, and one quick question, the budget for the police department, that went up 2%? I think?
I don't have his budget with me. That was
Right.
3 meetings ago, so I don't have his budget with me, but I
Okay.
have last week's and this last council meeting and this council meeting, but I don't have the police budget.
Right, I was just curious about that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else from public, please? Seeing none, close public. Mrs. Bergen.
Tapped out, thank you.
Mayor Creek.
Hello. So I just wanted to take a minute this week to highlight our amazing senior services that we provide here in Brick Township, and to fill everyone in on some of the services that they provide in case you are unaware. So in our new senior center, we have seniors that come in for different kinds of appointments, including assistance with utility bills, tax assistance, paperwork for PAD. There's lots of different ways that we assist our seniors with all kinds of paperwork that they may need, so we ask you to check that out. But one of the things that I'm particularly proud of is our dialysis bus has been a huge success. So far we have our one bus running, and we've given over, between when it launched in January and now, over 360 rides to dialysis patients. And we have our second bus coming. And then also I know we've talked about grants this evening. We did just apply for another grant to see if we can get 2 handicap accessible vans for people who are wheelchair bound that need to go to these appointments. Not that we don't have wheelchair accessibility on the buses, but it's a lot of work to get them on and off. And if we had something that was easier to get the wheelchairs in and out and a little more private for the person, then we think that would work great for them. So we do have a grant out right now for 2 wheelchair accessible vans that we hope to get for that program as well. Also, the community cafe was launched this year as well, and that brings meals to the housing authority. And so far on site, we have had over 600 meals served, and although we were aiming for 2,000 by the end of the year, I believe we put in for additional money and grant funds for that as well, and I think we're going to exceed that. So I'm really proud of our senior center. When I talk to our seniors and we're out at different events, a lot of times I'll hear, I love our senior center so much, it's fabulous, and Zulma and everyone that works there is so wonderful. And the best answer I can give is ditto. I feel exactly the same. So I'm very excited to bring that news to everyone. Also this weekend we have the Brick All-American and the Brick Little League they're both starting their seasons this Saturday. It looks like we'll have decent weather for that, so I'm excited. I think it's been cold and rainy the last few years, so I'm glad they're gonna have a nice sunny day to kick off those seasons. And I do want to point out that this year is the 50th anniversary. It's Girls with Game 50. It's the 50th anniversary of girls playing in Little League as well, that we'll be celebrating with the Brick Little League this Saturday. So cheers to that. And finally, also on Saturday, we have our beach sweeps taking place. That's from 9 to 2, and that's taking place at Brick Beach 1, Brick Beach 3, and also at Windward Beach. Once I'm done with our baseball fun and games, I'll head over to Windward. So if you want to meet up there, that would be great. Love to see you. And I'm going to keep plugging it. Our senior prom is taking place Friday, May 3rd, beginning at 6 o'clock at Civic Plaza. If you'd like to come, please reach out to the Recreation Department. It's a really fun night. We have a band. We have my mayor's student advisory comes, and they serve dinner and dance with all the seniors. So please sign up. We had a great time last year. And finally, the 3rd Thursday of every month is our visitation community lunch, so please make sure you show up for that. Lunch is served at noon, but the doors open at 11:30, and I hope to see you there. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Starkey.
Nothing for me tonight,
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Nothing, thank you.
Madam Secretary?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Albanese?
Nothing.
Councilwoman Pontarera?
Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to thank all of our presenters tonight for elucidating our budget in a way that everyone can understand. What caught my attention was a question from Mr. Finelli is talking about the grants and, how are you able to get them, and good job. I want the public to understand that since we have been on council, Those cuts are being made overseen by Joanne Bergen, RBA, and the department heads on a daily basis. Every expense, every effort is made to max out on our grants, to keep our budget payable, and still increasing our services each year by leaps and bounds. I want to thank all of our department heads for doing something that is almost impossible when all costs go up every year. We're trying to keep it from impacting our residents. And through their daily work, not just when it comes budget season, these are daily decisions. So I want to thank them and the time and effort that they put in, because those excess grant monies that go for the additional services that people who are on fixed income, such as seniors, which we have a large population, and disabled persons like myself, benefit because less money comes out of their pockets for the services that other people take for granted. What we will not be doing in this town is cutting positions of our police department, keeping our town better and safer than it has ever been in order to have a decrease. That won't happen, at least while I sit on this dais. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman DeYoung.
Thank you. I just want to recognize Danny Newman again real quick. I know he's with us he's no longer here, but he's with us for a few more months until he officially retires. But he is a absolute treasure and a tremendous wealth of knowledge, institutional knowledge that is priceless, and he will 100% be sorely missed. And that is all I have for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Feynman.
Thank you, Council President. I feel a little bit bad because there's so much heavy topics going on. I just wanted to talk about a new dog that we adopted. So we adopted a dog from Wag On In Rescue, which is a nonprofit. And there's plenty of adoption shelters out there. But if you go check out www.ochd.org and click on animal shelters and adoptions, there is a report that states that dog ownership was associated with a 24% risk reduction of all-cause mortality as compared to non-ownership. I'm running a separate study for those who are on council, have a 24% likelihood of a 24% increase of earlier death.
Thanks.
I'll publish the results once I'm done with the report. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. I don't know. Who knows? But by adopting a dog or a pet, they give you unconditional love. They give you unconditional love, and you give them hope. And hope is a good thing, maybe the best things, and no good thing ever dies. So stay safe and have fun. Thank you.
Thank you. What's the dog's name?
The dog's name is Sunny.
Thank you. Councilwoman Travers.
It's hard to follow that. I just wanted to recognize and congratulate one more time the Brick Memorial High School girls bowling team, and also those who are part of the telecommunications office. And again, lastly, to Dan Newman, thank him for his service. So have a good night. Thanks.
Thank you. Council Vice President Ambrosino.
I'll echo Councilwoman Travers' comments and add to that appreciation for all of our department heads that came out and gave our budget presentations this evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and I'll just echo all that. I'm not going to repeat it. It's late enough already. Our next meeting is Tuesday, April 23rd. Can I get a motion and a second to adjourn? Motion. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion